In this video, we are going to talk about a Dogecoin after having some magnificent push to the upper side of this resistance. Now let's see what's going on with it today. Good morning traders, welcome back to the channel, and we are back with Dogecoin, this time on a daily time frame and later on 4-hour time frame or even smaller time frames as well. Now straight to the point. First things first, we see that the price had a very nice push, completely stretching out the Bollinger Bands, pushing the boundaries and being in outside this overbought zone. Now, one thing what we want to mention is the RSI. Now, we are seeing some similarities to this reference here, meaning that we are in overbought zone. We have reached this major resistance line, which usually tends to show some major rejection as well. As you can see, we stayed here for quite a while, like maybe a week, so a little bit less, more, had nice rejection, push to that same zone, almost reaching, having nice rejection, now reaching this zone again of resistance, having complete rejection to the lower side, and so on, resulting in some lower lows, as you can see. So here, lower lows and lower highs as well. But recently, of course, we had nice breakout, retest, and a nice movement to this resistance line for now. Now, zooming more in and talking about this RSI. Last time we had the similar gameplay on the RSI side, of course. We stayed in this overbought zone for almost like week, if I'm not mistaken, since basically 27th of October until 5th, basically a week, a little bit more, but nevertheless we had a very nice rejection happening from here. Now, bear in mind also that while we had this push, we reached the major resistance line, which was at that time near $0.16 basically. We reached the ceiling and we had a nice rejection. And now we are at 0.10 and $2, meaning that we are at the resistance line and we are in overbought zone with the RSI as well. Similar scenario like this one. So naturally to think there is a potential to see some kind of maybe like sideways movements near this zone and then a nice downward movement to reclaim these lower zones, which we just straight out pushed and broke all. Also potential retesting those EMAs, second moving average as well, and maybe also this line of Bollinger Bands. Either we retest or we break down completely. This is if we see a breakdown, nice one. But if we see some kind of manipulation and further push to the upper sides, there is high chances of seeing price to reach this zone here, which is, again, we talked basically $0.16. So moving it here. If we see a breakout, if we don't see a breakout, clear one, then we see a downward movement to the lower zones. First zone would be basically this zone here, then some movement towards this zone, and a final reclaim to this zone here. Now, on a daily, we see that today's candle is feeling very pushy, where it's basically pushing and pushing down, pushing and pushing down. But what's interesting is look at this wick down here, which is very, very small. And look at the upper wick, which is very big, which means that price, although it had a very nice opening, currently due to the reason that we are at resistance line, price is seeing some kind of resistance also while being in overbought zone. Now, going on a 4-hour time frame for a little bit detailed view, here is what's interesting to us. Now, let's take the push from here. Since the push, we had nice push, correction candles, push, correction candles, further push, correction candles, push, massive correctional candles, and so on. And now we are, after another correction, seeing some kind of push here towards this resistance line of $0.105 basically. Now look at this candle here. You see that there is not any kind of wick, meaning that by the start of the opening this candle, it straightly started with a magnificent push towards the upper zones and getting closed just below this resistance line here. Now, next candle on 4-hour time frame is showing some kind of resistance, meaning there is a high potential for already seeing some kind of movement to the lower zones. And also bear in fact that we are outside of Bollinger Bands, and as you can see, it's stretched out fully. And usually, so let's zoom out and see where we see the stretched out okay, we see that last time we had the similar stretched out Bollinger Bands path. We went for some kind of correction movement to the upper zones. First of sideways, then a correction movement. Of course, we had here a nice push, sideways movement, and then a push to the upper zones in order to correct these Bollinger Bands. So, although the push is not so heavy, okay, you can see here as well, we had nice push and then correction to the lower zones as we expanded the Bollinger Bands. And now we might see the similar outcome here because, first of all, we are at the resistance line, which is the major resistance line for the Dogecoin as of now. We are outside with the Bollinger Bands expanding it completely, and the RSI is showing also us that we are in overbought zone. Now, the only concern to us is actually this candle here, which is, of course, the kickstarter of the daily candle. But the major concern for us is that there is no wick, which means that the push on the Dogecoin is pretty heavy and people are showing some strong buy will. The same was here, but as you can see, we had this push and then a correction to the lower zones, which was pretty nice correction. I think maybe, let's see, I won't think, 7% of correctional movement. Now, with that being said, we are at resistance once again. RSI and Bollinger Bands are overbought, and 4-hour candle is showing some kind of weakness currently. So there are high chances of seeing some kind of correction movement to the lower zones as we told here, afterwards towards this zone here, and then a further movement to reclaim fully these zones here. So with corrections, of course, but it will all depend on how this daily candle will close. For now, on the smaller time frame, of course, we see that 4-hour candle got stopped just below the resistance line, but if this daily candle will also close below this resistance line, there are much more likelihood of seeing some kind of reversal to happen. So this is it for today, the view on the Dogecoin. As always, if you like this video, feel free to share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts, and trade safe. See you in the next session.